Welcome. In front of me I have the Samsung Galaxy Tab A9 Plus, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and the specs of it. Without further ado, let's just get straight into the box. This will be technically like a budget alternative to the Samsung S9 series of tablets. But apart from it being in a budget category, as in with the A series, the price doesn't really reflect it, to be completely honest. Let's get in here. I'm not sure why I cut that side. Anyway, so right here we get our tablet. There we go. Let's get that out of the way. Gonna start booting it up and set it to the side. Once it actually starts turning on, there we go. Now in here we get a cable and instructions, and yep, that's basically all we get. Now before I get into any kind of specs for this device, I am going to start off by saying that this device costs about 300 something US dollars. Let's see, that would be about like 350. Now on the Samsung site, if you go there, you'll see that it costs less. So the 64GB model with the 4 gigs of RAM comes at about 240, I think those are pounds, because I am in Europe, it's showing me different like values. In the case of US, it might be even like different price, but keep in mind, buying it in US, I don't think tax is included in the price, while in Europe it's already added into the price. And generally, if I go to any kind of other site that actually shows it to me and I convert it from my value to US, like I said, it comes somewhere to $350, give or take like 10-20 bucks. So that'll be the price of this device. Now, for that price, you get a device with an 11-inch display running a resolution of 1200 pixels by 1920. So it's basically a 1080p display. It's just running a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which is a little bit less typical for tablets. It's starting to be more utilized by laptops, for instance. So yeah. If you like to have a little bit wider display, so holding it in like portrait mode, it's going to be wider, and landscape, it's going to be taller. So obviously this will be pretty nice. Now, continuing on with the specs, we do have a Snapdragon 695 in here, and you have two options, either the 4 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, and either 64 or 128 gigabytes of storage, depending on how much RAM you have. So the 4 gigabyte comes with 64, while 128 comes with 8. Now that being said, the default spec, the lower one, the 64 with 4, that's not even supposed to be sold. Like, let's be honest, this is such an outdated spec that in 2023 this is, I would consider, unacceptable to add in your device, specifically for 350 bucks. Now, just to also put that out there, this device gets completely shit on by things like Xiaomi 6, Xiaomi Pad 6 and 6 Pro, which is roughly around the same price tag. 6 Pro might be a little bit more expensive, while the 6 is roughly in the same ballpark in terms of the price, while offering significantly better specifications. So I just wanted to point that out. I am going to touch upon this kind of comparison a little bit later into the video, just as a better alternative. So I'm going to go more in depth of what's the difference and what you would get for the same price by just sacrificing the brand name. Anyway, continuing on with this one. The display right here, which obviously it's a Samsung device, so you would expect that you get a decent display, as Samsung is basically the #1 company in terms of the display. And you'd be wrong, because you didn't pay here for the display, you paid here for the Samsung name. So what you have in here is a TFT LCD display running at a measly 90 Hz refresh rate. Fantastic. So you have a mid-range processor, crap display. Now, when it comes down to display a little bit more, it is a, like I said, 11-inch display with an almost 81% screen to body ratio and about 200 pixels per inch. So, like I said, it is a just mediocre display at best. And when it comes down to Samsung, that shouldn't be the case, as they are basically the forerunners when it comes down to production of displays. Every company buys the displays from them, and they can make good displays. Just this isn't one. Anyway, continuing on, let's talk about the cameras right here. So at the front, a selfie camera that is right here. That's a 5 megapixel selfie, and it can shoot at 1080p 30 frames. And then at the back, if we flip it over, we have a 8 megapixel sensor that also can shoot at 1080p 30 frames. So basically no difference, just a little bit higher pixel count for the back one compared to the front one. Okay, now continuing on, this device comes with a pretty decent battery size at 7040 milliamp hour. So that will be a decent battery size for such a device, especially this display. What isn't necessarily the greatest is the charging speed, which again, Samsung has been the absolute middle finger when it comes down to giving you anything that is reasonably on par with current tech. So what you get here is a flippin' 15 watts wired charging, which is an absolute joke. My 4-year-old phone, Huawei Mate 20 Pro, can charge wirelessly as quick as this device can charge with a wire. It's an absolute just joke of a charging speed for a device with a 7000 milliamp hour battery. It's unacceptable. So, that being said, continuing on with the disappointment that this device just keeps on giving. It's like a gift that just keeps on giving the garbage. What else do we have right here that I can just completely make fun of? Actually, I think that's about it. So let's talk about the just general design. So when it comes to the design, it is at the low end, plastic back, plastic frame. I'm pretty sure no one expected anything else here. At the bottom, we have a Type-C charging port, which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Samsung decided to add you a micro USB here, just because screw everyone. But I think legally they're not allowed to do that. So there we go. We have Type-C, speakers, microphone. Then at the top we have more speakers. On the side we have volume rockers and something. I'm not exactly sure what this is for. Maybe more microphones. And then on the bottom side, if you hold it in the landscape, or I guess left side if you hold it in portrait with the buttons, whatever. At the bottom here you have your pogo pins and just peripheral, I guess, for keyboard. So you just slap that into a keyboard and get a trackpad with a keyboard here. I don't have that, so it's just kind of here. But if I would ever buy such a thing, I could just slap it in and it would work. And additionally, we have the tray right here for, I presume, SD card and SIM card. But I could be wrong, I haven't checked it out, so let's pop it out and see what we get in here. Oh no, we just get an SD card. So that being said, you can go for 64 gigabytes, and if that's not enough storage for you, you can just pop in an SD card. I would still urge you to go for the higher end model if you're planning to pick this device up. But with that being said, I don't recommend picking this device up because I just consider it to be an absolute waste of money, and this device being just absolute horrendous garbage. So let me explain this in comparison. So moving on, what I would be comparing this device to is the Xiaomi Pad 6. Just the default 6, not even the 6 Pro. So what you get in comparison to this device, we get a faster processor, being the Snapdragon 870 5G. We have a higher resolution display, same size display though. It is also an IPS LCD, so in terms of display, it will be a little bit better. The colors will be a little bit better than this device can produce. It also will be running significantly faster at 144 Hz, also coming with Dolby Vision support and HDR10. That peaks at a brightness of 550 nits. So brighter than this. The display generally just better than this in every single way. So that's number one. That's the L that Samsung can take freely right here. Moving on into the internals, Snapdragon, obviously I already mentioned, that's going to be a significant bump up in performance for the same price, mind you. While the starting model of this Xiaomi will start at 128 gigabytes of storage with 6 gigs of RAM. So a little bit less RAM compared to this one, like highest end. But you can obviously bump it up without much of a problem. And 6 gigabytes I would say is a good starting point, with a decent storage being of 128 gigabytes. Additionally, the storage type that you get is a UFS 3.1 compared to this garbage being not even specified. So it's probably using just some cheap ass storage type that is not going to be very fast. Continuing on, the cameras will be better. The Xiaomi can record, at least with the back cameras, at 4K 30 frames and 1080p 60. So obviously better recording if you're planning to utilize that. Oh, and I also want to add, the device maxes out at 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM with no expandable storage. If you need more than 256, I guess you won't be able to get it. Anyway. The battery size will be bigger at 8800 compared to the 7040 that this device comes with, and additionally it can charge way faster at 33 watts compared to this one's 15, which is basically what you would expect from a cheap Chinese knockoff device. That's how low of a bar this device sets. So yeah, 33 watts is still not necessarily like super glamorous, but I would consider for a 8000 mAh battery, or almost 9000, this will be a sufficient enough speed. It won't be super fast, but it will be good enough to not feel like a hindrance, like this device will. And that being said, basically everything that I can think about the Xiaomi Pad 6 will be better compared to this Samsung device. The only thing that you're sacrificing is this, and at this point the only thing that you get with this name is a middle finger. So I am, at least personally, I am completely fine by sacrificing this name when what I will be getting is significantly better value for my money. And that's really what matters to me, a value for my money, which this device will not provide me. And furthermore, it is Samsung, so if you would ever feel like you want to maybe flush this software, unlock the bootloader, and just, load it up with something more private, because it is still Samsung, so all the data isn't yours, it's theirs. So if you would ever want to do that, you lose a bunch of functionality of this device, like cameras and other stuff, because that's just what Samsung does. It shows you a middle finger when you want to take control over your device that you paid overpriced price for. So yeah, you basically get shafted for wanting to be able to utilize your device to the fullest and have privacy, because that's not what you're supposed to have. So I just wanted to point that out, because it is an absolute egregious thing that not only Samsung, I want to point that out, they're not the only ones, but they're the ones that produce you overpriced dog shit and take control, or take freedom from you in a way, and gather data. And if you try to reduce that kind of thing, meaning gathering data, they will basically take away features of your device from you. So I do want to hammer that you don't really have much of a privacy with these kind of devices, and if you try to, you get punished for it, which to me is just not a very good business model. I don't like to be treated like I'm the effing product. So that being said, I recommend over this device picking up the Pad 6 over this one, just because you get significantly better value for the money and a little bit more freedom to, for instance, do whatever the heck you want with the device, like unlock the bootloader and flush the software. So yeah, just kind of wanted to point that out. Anyway, if you found this rant helpful, informative, don't forget to smash like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.